broadcast here today. Craig Hentrick kicking off for Tennessee. Kansas City has won the toss, and Larry Parker will take it from the 5. Parker looking for an opening, and he is brought down shy of the 30-yard line. 23-yard return for Parker. Elvis Grbac coming off his best season in the NFL. He stayed healthy last year, which was the most important thing. He took all but 3 snaps for this Chiefs football team in '99.
And for Elvis Grbac, it's a very important year for him. He wants to establish himself as the Chiefs quarterback of now and in the future. In order to do that, he's got to guide this team to the playoffs.
2 running backs for Grbac, Cloud and Richardson. 1st and 10 from the 28. Grbac will throw it and complete to Tony Richardson, the fullback. A modest gain of 2 through the air. Greg Fazer, the former Chief, making the stop. The Kansas City offense, Tate, Blackshear stepping in for the injured Dave Zott out with a sprained elbow. Grunhard, Shields, and Riley. Very steady offensive line. A switch at running back. Cloud getting his first NFL start. Richardson returns to fullback. Sylvester Morris making his first NFL start. The rookie out of Jackson State at wide receiver. On a 2nd and 8, Richardson by himself in the backfield, and he'll get the call. Richardson hit hard but stays on his feet and is forced out to the sideline by Marcus Robertson. A pickup of 4 out to the 35-yard line. Tennessee defensively. Holmes, Fisk, Thornton, and of course, the man known as the Freak, Javon Curse. Robinson, Godfrey, the former Cowboy, and Greg Favors, linebacking core. And in the secondary, Roll and Walker. Bernard Walker is back after a 1-game suspension for domestic violence. Robertson and Bishop are the safeties, one of the best tandems in the NFL. A 3rd and 4 on a double tight end set for Grbac. He has the time. Looks, and nobody home down the sideline. Sylvester Morris, miscommunication.
And Elvis Grbac, there's a little skirmish on the field with Javon Curse. He got chipped on the play. He doesn't like that. He's going against Victor Riley, a 340-pound offensive tackle. But Javon Curse is going to be a player that the Chiefs call the spinner. They're going to point him out on the field of play. They're going to chip him with a back out of the backfield. They're going to try to stop him to make him start his motor again, so he can't get the quarterback, Elvis Grbac, in a hurry. And he gets frustrated when he gets held and knocked around like that.
Todd Sauerbrunn will punt. Derek Mason is waiting. A poor punt through the air, but it did take a Kansas City roll out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So Sauerbrunn catches a break as it came off the side of his foot. A 38-yard punt. And Jeff Fisher's team will take over on offense for the first time today. Fisher receiving a 4-year extension during the offseason. And he's a different guy. Last time we did a Titan game 2 years ago when they were still the Tennessee Oilers, and you could sense a comfort zone now that Jeff Fisher is in as the head coach of this team.
Well, I think he's happy to finally have a home in 2 consecutive years, which he hasn't had the last few years. They've been traveling across the United States finding homes for this team.
Steve McNair on a 1st and 10 from the 28, and flags come down. An offense that was very rusty in week 1, and that loss to Buffalo. Very physical game out at Orchard Park. And our referee is Mike Carey.
Encroachment, defense 93, 5 yards. First down, 5 yards.
First play from scrimmage for the Kansas City defense, and it's John Browning.
John Browning just getting a jump before the play, before the ball snapped. I know your emotions run high, you're playing down the road, it's a sellout crowd here, but for defensive linemen, all you have to do is watch the ball. You have ears that are deaf to the quarterback, keep your eye on the football.
A 4-receiver look on a 1st and 5, and McNair wants to put it in the air. Fires, wide open Wycheck. First down across the 40-yard line, a pickup of 11. And an injured Chief, Chester McLaughlin, very slow to get up, lying out around the 29-yard line. For Wycheck, the 57th straight game that he's had at least 1 catch, and McLaughlin will get up on his own. But wobbly.
He's staggering a little bit, and he's a player that they can't afford to lose. He is the guy that sets the tone in their defense up front for their defensive linemen. Chester McLaughlin last year, 54 quarterback hurries. Didn't have a lot of sacks last year, but he's the guy that crushes the pocket so the outside rush can get to the quarterback. He's a very good run stopper. 4 Pro Bowlers. 4 Pro Bowls for Chester McLaughlin. He's got to get back in the lineup for the Chiefs to have success in front.
You're right, though. He is the anchor, and when he is motivated, He's as good as anybody at that position. The motivation question has always been the issue with him.
And in the past, he played for the Oakland Raiders, and that was the question about his motivation. They finally got him to Kansas City, a change of environment, came in, played well, but they have to continue to find ways to motivate him. And as an NFL player, you should be able to motivate yourself at this level.
Dan Williams will step in and play the left tackle position on a 1st and 10 for Tennessee from the 44-yard line. Eddie George gets his first opportunity trying to push the pile ahead, and he picks up 3. Everybody involved defensively for Kansas City. And Steve McNair, you want to talk about maturity, I think that's a very important variable to Steve McNair. We had a chance to talk with him a couple of days ago, and he said, you know, in the past, that Buffalo loss would linger with him throughout the week. He felt by Monday or Tuesday it was out of his system, and he was thinking about the next game.
And it's great for a young quarterback because sometimes if it lingers past Wednesday or Thursday, you're already in the work week for the following week.
2nd and 7 from the 47. Trying to establish the run. Eddie George once again, and nothing doing. Marcus Patton, first man there, maybe a gain of 1. As we take a look at the Tennessee offense. This Tennessee offensive line, we know about Bruce Matthews, of course, but Brad Hopkins also a guy that's been a mainstay for this team now in his 8th year. Kevin Long at center, Benji Olsen, and Fred Miller round out the offensive line for the Titans. 3rd and 7. Out of the shotgun, McNair. Yancey Thigpen now on the field for the Titans. Underneath, Kevin Dyson, and creates a first down. Curling inside into Kansas City territory and brought down at the 45-yard line. A gain of 8.
And this is a sharp play. Dyson takes one step down, turns back. It's a screen to the outside. Big 89, Frank Wycheck is in the 4-wide situation. He's a tight end. First thing he does, as soon as the ball is called, he turns and makes a block for Dyson. He picks up the first down.
Dyson was shut out last week for the first time in his career. Now in his 3rd year out of Utah. Still developing, the number 16 pick in 98. But showed some flashes last year with 54 catches, 658 yards. And now a new set of downs for Tennessee to work with. Blitz coming. McNair unloads to Wycheck. Little shake and bake move. And he's tackled at the 41-yard line. They picked up 4. Greg Wesley making the stop, the strong safety. We're going to look at that offensive line. Matthews, of course, the biggest name there. 18 years in the NFL and an Iron Man. Backs and receivers, Eddie George was humbled last week with just 37 yards on the ground. Carl Pickens, free agent from Cincinnati. Dyson and Wycheck along with Lorenzo Neal. We'll call it a 2nd and 6 from the 41. George by himself in the backfield. Dyson, the motion man. There's McNair, plenty of time, and just lost the football. Did not release it cleanly. It's incomplete.
And last week, Tennessee had a problem getting rhythm in their offense, and it seems they're at the same point this week as they were last week.
Well, the Kansas City defense, defensive line, not exactly big names, and McLaughlin injured during this first series. Linebackers, that might be the strongest part of the defense. Edwards, Patton, and Bush in the secondary. Hasty, Woods, Wesley, and the youngster Eric Warfield, who beat out Chris Dishman. Dishman was eventually waived by the team from the starting spot at corner. On 3rd and 6, and a deflection. Incomplete. Pressure from Clemens and Williams, forcing McNair to get rid of the pass. Thigpen, the intended receiver. 4th down, Tennessee.
And they came with a blitz on the play, and they had the safety, Jerome Woods, coming on a trail blitz, which he's a step late. Number 21, you're going to watch right there. He comes around on a stunt, and he just jumps above the right tackle, Fred Miller. Good play by Jerome Woods. Smart timing play. He knew Steve McNair was trying to get rid of the ball because the blitz was coming. He jumped at the appropriate time and batted it down.
One of the best foots in the NFL, Craig Hendrick, punting to Larry Parker. Hendrick had 9 punts last week in Buffalo. High punt will take a bounce at the 6. And Tennessee will down it at the 5. Danon Sidney there with the coverage, special teams, after the 36-yard punt from Hendrick. So Kansas City pinned back in their own territory. No score in the first. You know, it is pretty amazing, Mark, to see the transformation in this town, how much they now love this football team. Last couple of years, this team was just searching for an identity. They found it. A packed house here at Adelphia Coliseum in Kansas City, facing a 1st and 10 at their own 5. Under pressure, Grbac throws and a flag down. Eddie Robinson grabbing the jersey, and Grbac now grabbing the knee. And a penalty will work against Tennessee as Grbac comes up limping. Now remember who the backup is for Kansas City. Warren Moon, 43 years old, and the best quarterback in franchise history for Tennessee.
5-yard penalty carries an automatic first down.
Javon Curse with pressure on the outside. John Thornton with pressure on the inside. Here's a look at Curse using his speed against John Tate to the outside. That's one of the things that Jeff Fisher told us yesterday when we spoke with him, that I think with our speed on the outside, Kansas City's tackles cannot combat the speed of Javon Curse. And right there's a great example of it. 2 people in on the play. Elvis Grbac gets nailed on the play. Curse low and Thornton high.
Grbac remains in the game. A 1st and 10 after the 5-yard penalty. Holding. Handoff. Richardson. And he's brought down trying to string it out to the end. John Thornton there. And no gain on the play.
John Thornton.
Now, Javon Curse, you talked about pointing him out. That's something I'm sure you did with Washington and Lawrence Taylor.
Absolutely. We talked to Jeff Fisher about this. Hey, he's the type of guy that you have to know exactly where he lines up. Jimmy Ray, the offensive coordinator for Kansas City, says we have to point him out by formation. We want to make sure that we have 2 or 3 people on him because we cannot hold up one-on-one the entire game.
We'll call it 2nd and 10. Trying to get the running game started. And it's Tony Richardson extending across the 20-yard line. And a 1st down for Kansas City. Quiets this crowd down. Even though Richardson has moved back to fullback, he's still getting the majority of the carries.
He's their #1 running back, regardless of where he plays, fullback or the tailback position, because they know he has the experience. He's healthy back there. He's been through the ringer with this offense, and he knows both positions. He's their steady guy. He's the steady Eddie guy. Javon Curse is coming off the field.
So Curse will have to sit this one out. Donnell Bennett is out of action because of a sprained right foot. And that's what brought on the move for Tony Richardson back to fullback. Inside, Mike Cloud getting an opportunity. And Cloud picks up 3. Henry Ford able to wrap him up. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Now, in this linebacking crew for Tennessee, they're tough. They think they've got a great unit this year. Right in the middle, Randall Godfrey. What a great addition. It's tough to run up the gut. And Mike Cloud just found that out. There's not much movement on the offensive line point of attack. The offensive line for Kansas City minus Dave Zott, that is a big hole for this offense. Filled in by Jeff Blackshear, but when you're missing one of your steady guys up front, that creates problem in your running and passing game.
We asked Coach Fisher, where have you improved? He said linebacker right off the bat. Flags come down.
False start. Offense number 66. 5 yards. Remains 2nd down.
Victor Riley, the right tackle.
And don't be surprised if we see a lot of that today. Whenever you're lined up one-on-one against Javon Curse as a tackle, you're going to pivot and turn your stance in a passing situation to try to get the jump. And if Javon Curse even breathes hard, you want to get off the line of scrimmage as fast as can to head him off at the pass.
Now Curse is now back on the field. Yeah, the amazing part of talking to the Kansas City offensive players, yeah, they gave Curse his due, but everybody kept bringing up Blaine Bishop. We have to worry about Blaine Bishop. They call him the Tasmanian Devil. On the handoff. And Richardson trying to accelerate as he got across the 20-yard line for a gain of 4. And there's Randall Godfrey making the stop, the new middle linebacker who led the Dallas Cowboys in tackles last year. There's Blaine Bishop. 3 Pro Bowls to his credit, a Pro Bowl alternate last season. It's almost like having a 4th linebacker.
Oh, absolutely. He's had 4 years in his career. He's had 100-plus tackles, 2 consecutive. And teams have to worry about him because he can blitz from the outside. He moves around. And the way that Tennessee revolves their defense, you have to keep an eye not only on Curse, but also on Bishop.
On a 3rd and 8. Crowd's vocal once again. Flag comes down. Grbac throwing to the sideline and complete to Morris. A 1st down if it stands for Kansas City. And a pickup of 11 through the air. Once again, illegal procedure. And Mike Carey will get the particulars.
Illegal formation. Offense number 66. An ineligible number was lined up in the backfield. Penalty is declined. The play results in 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
And that's the Javon Curse factor. That's part of the game. Wherever he's lined up, you're trying to cheat as an offensive tackle. Heck, when I played in the NFL, I used to do it. Right there, take a look. He's trying to get back a little bit quicker, and that's what happens when you get set. You have to be perpendicular to the line, but he's set at an angle right there, and he's too deep into the backfield.
So you basically just announced on network television that you cheated as an NFL player.
You're not cheating. You're not trying against Lawrence Taylor or Javon Curse. I do the same thing.
They'll go conservative on 3rd and 13, and Tony Richardson didn't have much room to work with. This Kansas City offense was booed last week at Arrowhead, and they were booed very early. Eddie Robinson made that stop.
Well, and last week, the reason why they were booed is the first 6 plays, run, and then they had to punt the ball twice. And here's a team that threw the ball a lot in preseason. They came out, they threw the ball effectively in the first series today.
Sauerbrunn gets this one off cleanly. Takes a big bounce for Mason to work with. Mason trying to work the sideline. Now cutting it back. Derek Mason still on his feet. And he is strung down in Kansas City territory at the 47 by Lou Bush. A 15-yard return after the 44-yard punt. No score, but Tennessee has terrific field position here in the first. No score early on, and Javon Curse punched over on the sideline for Tennessee following that defensive series for the Titans. Offensively, Titans have great field position. Eddie George brought down as he got across the 45-yard line for a gain of 2.5. And Marcus Patton making the stop.
It appears Javon Curse has cramps because he's over against the fan, trying to cool his body off. You see the Gatorade, the water out in front of him. He's a player that's got to be in there defensively for the Tennessee Titans.
You know, Curse told us, trying to keep his weight up. He's hit 257. He said if he doesn't try to keep it up, he'd be more like 250.
And when I looked at him at 257, I was surprised because they have him listed at 265, but he's a well-built 257 pounds.
He was a busy man last week with a career-high 14 tackles and a half a sack. Play action. Nice fake by McNair. Throwing underneath, and it's incomplete. It was broken up by Greg Wesley as Wycheck was there as the intended receiver. It'll be 3rd and long.
Nice job by Kansas City. Dwayne Clemens getting pressure right at the end of the play on Steve McNair. Eddie George threw a great block in the middle of the offensive line protecting Steve McNair, but this team is just out of sync. Last week with the wide receivers Zion against Buffalo, 4 receptions out of the wide receivers. Frank Wycheck had 4, but you really don't count him as a wide receiver. He's a tight end / wide receiver in their offense.
Injury update, Chester McLaughlin, a neck strain. He is on the sideline without his helmet on. His return is questionable. A 3rd and 8. Shotgun formation for Tennessee. McNair buying some extra time, now stepping up. He's a threat to run. McNair, first down. Down at the 35. He took it up the middle. And a 10-yard scamper.
Great job of vision by Steve McNair. He runs his wide receivers down the field to play. A crossing route, it clears out the middle. Nobody's in the middle of the field. Eddie George turns around, gets a block on Marcus Patton, but Marcus Patton still gets in on the tackle. But this is just smart. This is the other dimension of Steve McNair, the quarterback. Nobody's open, spread out the field, give me a hole to run through, and I'll take off and run.
First down from the 35. George in the backfield, he'll get the carry. And Eddie George has been non-existent so far. A pickup of 2. Dwayne Clemens making the stop.
Tackled by Dwayne Clemens, number 99.
Checking out his blood pressure on the sidelines. We're going to have to get an update on that for Javon Curse. Now here's a player that's absolutely 100% healthy. Obviously, he played the full season last year, went to the Pro Bowl at the end of the season. Started this season off in fine fashion. A half a sack last week, a bunch of pressures last week, and 14 tackles in the game last week.
On a 2nd and 8. Thomas and George now behind McNair. On a pitch, trying to set it up for George. And they are there defensively. Kansas City closes in on George, and a loss of 1 on the play. Dan Williams got him down low. Now Javon Curse may have been able to compose himself standing upright.
He looks much better now. He did a few minutes ago on all 4s over there.
And a good sign for the Kansas City defense.
Well, not only their defense, but it's got to be frustrating for Eddie George. Here's a guy that's one of the premier backs in the NFL, and he's got 5 carries and 6 yards.
Chester McLaughlin has come back onto the field for the Chiefs. A 3 wide receiver look. Nickel set for Kansas City. They crowd the line of scrimmage. McNair can't handle the snap. Loose football. Rolling out there at the 40. And scooped up by Dan Williams. He loses it. Chester McLaughlin staying with the play and recovers it at the 33. Tennessee coughing up the football, and this offense continues to struggle.
Now that just goes to show you by Chester McLaughlin coming back in the game and hustling on the play. It's a bad snap. It's a low snap, but it should have been handled by Steve McNair. It was to his right, but the blitz was coming with Jerome Woods, and Steve McNair was looking at the blitz. Here's the ball. Dan Williams looks like a garbage truck picking up this ball. Come on, pick it up and run with it. Go the other way towards the goal line. Then he gets it stripped by McNair, but Chester McLaughlin's there, Johnny, on the spot to come up with a fumble recovery.
It turns into a 34-yard fumble. And the Tennessee offense has handed it over to Kansas City after tremendous field position. Titans unable to put points on the board. Now a 1st and 10 for KC. On the give, Richardson. And the Tennessee defense charging through, led by Blaine Bishop. That's a loss of a couple.
You talk about the play, an offensive sway play. It's a power play. You pull your left guard, Will Shields, to the left. You fill in with your tight end, Tony Gonzalez. It's almost like a counter trade play. But Blaine Bishop meets the play at the point of attack, sheds the block, and makes the tackle. He's playing like a linebacker. That's like a defensive end. How does he do that at the safety position? He's only 5'9", 203 pounds.
2nd and 12. Line of scrimmage is the 35. Motion man Gonzalez. Grbac. Pocket collapsing. Now some room. He'll throw. And complete. Sylvester Morris spun down at the 15. A 1st down for Kansas City. Samari rolled with the coverage. It covered 20 yards through the air.
Sylvester Morris, the rookie, they say he catches the tough passes, but a great job of Elvis Grbac. Here's the play-action fake. He looked at Curse right there to find out where he is. Now, step up in the pocket. Make something happen. He rolls to his left. He finds the rookie, Sylvester Morris. But I'll tell you what, Javon Curse was triple teamed down the play. Here's Morris running his route. He turns back and looks. Sees his quarterback's in trouble. Fakes inside. Comes back to the outside. Catches the ball for the 1st down.
Double tight end formation. Gonzalez in motion on a handoff. Richardson with a head of steam. He crosses the 10 and down at the 9. Pickup of 6. Good blocking up front by Tim Grunhard.
I'll tell you one thing, Ian. Will Shields, the Pro Bowl right guard, shot out of there like a cannon. I've been in that position as an ex-player. You're trying to get your block. The big back comes in with a head of steam. He just puts his head down and hits you right in the back of the shoulder pad. You just fly out of the back of the pile. And Will Shields felt the power of Tony Richardson on that play.
2nd and 4. Winding down here in the 1st. Grbac again inside. It's Richardson barreling his way across the 5-yard line. And a gain of 5.
Tackled by Denard Walker.
I think Jimmy Ray has finally decided to stick with his running plan. The offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. They abandoned it a little bit last week, but this is a team, make no mistake, is a running team first, the Kansas City Chiefs. We spoke with Jeff Fisher yesterday, and he said, hey, we're a running team. They averaged 113 yards last year. But Kansas City, they're a real running team. They averaged over 130 last year. So they're facing a good defense in front of them, but they're running on the side of Javon Curse.
Richardson at 58 yards rushing last week. Cloud 2 carries for 5 yards. That one-back offense, Gunther Cunningham calls the Big Tiger. And we've seen a lot of that from Tony Richardson so far. They come up short on the 1st down.
And I think it's a smart play to run right at Javon Curse. Excellent speed guy that can get up the field, but he's 257 pounds. He's going against Victor Riley. In the offseason, he was 360. He's lost a lot of weight. He's down to 335 now, but after a amount of time in this heat, that weight and strength of Victor Riley should take its toll on Javon Curse.
You were on the field before the game. How bad was that heat? Deceptive?
It's very deceptive because it rained this morning. Now it's like a steam bath out there on the field.
A 3rd and inches. Crowd again comes alive. Handoff. Cloud looking for the 1st down. And he's got it. Mike Cloud with a burst up the middle. He picked up 3. He just needed 3 inches. He got 3 yards.
And that's just hanging your hat on your best offensive lineman. Center Tim Grunhard, right guard Will Shields. Slam it right up in the middle. Here's the way it looks for those guys. It's a little ace play. Center blocks back. Will Shields pins around the offensive line, gets a little trap block. There's a hole in the middle, and Mike Cloud hits the seam for the 1st down.
That's going to be the final play of the 1st quarter. Tennessee with an opportunity to score, but unable to take advantage. Now it's Kansas City threatening. End of the first quarter, Kansas City and Tennessee, no score, will return to Adelphia Coliseum right after this. Here in the second quarter, but the Chiefs with a golden chance here with a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. Marcus Spears is in as a 3rd tight end. He is eligible, number 70. Every now and again, Kansas City would work in Joe Valerio in those situations. Inside, Tony Richardson. And nothing doing for him. Henry Ford and Joe Salavea combining. No gain.
And Kansas City's forte in the red area, particularly inside the 5, is to pound it in. They've always had a powerful running attack, big, strong offensive lineman, a tremendous interior threat. They're going to hang their hat on that. But look for Elvis Grbac. He's fleet of foot. He can get outside the pocket. They like to fake the handoff inside, roll him out to the flat, and dump the ball.
2nd and goal. Cloud and Richardson in the backfield. Handoff. Cloud trying to force his way in. Cloud feels that he got there. The officials do not.
Tackle by Kenny Holmes.
Eddie Robinson among those Titan tacklers leading the charge with Kenny Holmes, and Mike Cloud came up just short.
And second effort by Mike Cloud doesn't get it done, but there's always an extra man on the goal line for the running back. He has to account for them. When he gets into a pile like this, keep the feet moving, keep churning, keep churning. There's the extra man coming over the top. The running back always protects the ball with both hands in the goal line situation.
On 3rd and goal, inside handoff, Richardson. He was stacked up immediately. Kenny Holmes is saying no, no, no. And Kansas City unable to get it in. They face a 4th and goal.
Tremendous play by the defensive front of Kansas City. Hey, goal line is research and attitude. You watch the films, you find out where they line up, and the attitude is you got to get lower, you got to be more physical, and you got to move them out. In Kansas City, 4th down. Hey, what the heck? Let's go for it.
Gunther Cunningham's team on the road, going for it on a 4th and goal, 9th play of the drive. Handoff. Cloud trying to take it to the outside. Spun down. Shy of the goal line. Greg Favors, the former Chief.
And this is what's called putting an exclamation point on 4th down. Check out Favors, number 51. He fights off the block of the offensive lineman and strings the play out and makes the tackle before he can cross the plane to the goal line.
Kansas City gives it away on downs. We're coming back. First major decision of the day, and Gunther Cunningham comes up empty. McNair on a quarterback keeper, just trying to get some space in between the Titans and the goal line. Could have gone for the field goal, a short field goal, instead elected to run the football.
And here's Will Shields pulling around. You touch every backside, it's a blast play. But Will Shields is 75 pounds heavier than Greg Favors. Greg Favors just gets leverage. He wants it more. He's more determined. He stands up Shields and makes the tackle.
Favors was released by this Kansas City team and hooked on with Tennessee. Has worked his way into the starting lineup, beating out Keith Bullock, the 1st-round pick out of Syracuse, for that outside linebacker position. Former 4th-round pick by the Chiefs. Timeout called by Tennessee with 12:35 remaining. Second quarter. We've got no score here in Nashville. On a 2nd and 8, McNair deep drop into the end zone. McNair in trouble, avoiding the sack, avoiding the safety, and fortunate to get out of the end zone, picking up the yardage. Eric Hicks getting into the backfield with a chance to bring him down.
Eric Hicks comes up the field to play. He's being blocked by the backs. He gets around both backs. They can't handle him. Gets up the field to play, gets pressure on Steve McNair, but he's able to get out of it and make a big play. This should be a safety by all rights. Any other quarterback in the NFL, that is a safety, but Steve McNair gets out of the situation. It
goes down as a sack and a loss of 1, but it could have been a lot worse for Tennessee. Now a 3rd and 9. And right up the middle for Eddie George, and these fans are beginning to get impatient.
Hendrick on the punt.
Eddie George now
Larry Parker
has 6 carries for 7 yards. This is a man that's gone to the Pro Bowl 3 consecutive years.
And what a powerhouse Eddie George is. 1,300 yards last season alone. He averages 4.1 yards per carry, but this season he just can't get it going. And you really can't blame Eddie George. He knows he's going to face 8-man fronts. It's the line up front and the tight end and backs that have to open up holes for him.
Well, Tennessee needs a good punt from Craig Hendrick with Larry Parker standing at the Tennessee 45. Flag comes down as Hendrick gets it off. Parker allows it to bounce out of bounds right around midfield.
There's a flag on the play.
And we'll see what the flag is. 47-yard punt from Hendrick. And a call against the Titans.
Now, when you look at this game, it doesn't seem like either side's getting any
Illegal
rhythm.
formation. Offense, number 33 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. Penalty is declined. First down. Timeout.
Well, Kansas City likes their field position, so that's where they'll have it from. No score, 11:01 left, second quarter.
Correction. Illegal formation penalty was accepted. Half the distance to go. Repeat, fourth down.
Well, referee Mike Carey just made the announcement to the fans here in Tennessee that he had misspoke earlier, and the penalty was accepted, so Craig Hendrick will punt again. Kansas City is going to have outstanding field position. And Carey still a bit confused. Jeff Fisher was screaming at his special teams. Now keep in mind this week, Alan Lowry, the special teams coach, was not there throughout the week for practice. He had a heart procedure done last week, so Fisher took over the special teams. Lowry is here today in the booth. Hendrick gets it off barely. Parker allows it to roll, and it does take a Tennessee roll to the 46. There was contact in the end zone, and Hendrick was looking for a call, a 45-yard punt.
Down by Dan Sidney.
Ron George came firing in.
46-yard.
So by accepting the penalty, Chiefs made up about 4 yards. They'll have it when we come back.
Baptist Hospital Sports Medicine Center is the official healthcare provider.
Kansas City, a 1st and 10 at the Tennessee 46. So far, the play selection, 14 rushing attempts for the Chiefs, just 3 passes. Grbac will hand it off. Frank Moreau, the rookie out of Louisville, getting his first carry, and Jason Fisk there defensively for a loss on the play.
Tackle by number 97.
Get live
Jason
updates
Fisk.
for each NFL game as they happen. Just click on live scores at cbs.sportsline.com.
Loss of
And I
2
think
on the play.
after last week for the Kansas City Chiefs, Gunther Cunningham, the head coach, and Jimmy Ray, the offensive coordinator, said, let's get back to Chiefs football. Pound the football first. Until they absolutely stop us, we're going to stay with our game plan, pounding the football first.
Gonzalez shifts over to the right side of the offensive line. Some movement in the backfield. Grbac will throw. Fires and complete to Alexander. A first down for Kansas City at the 35-yard
Pass
line.
complete to
They gain
Derek
12.
Alexander, number
Blaine
82.
Bishop there to make the stop.
Nice catch by Derek Alexander, but great protection by the offensive line, allowing Elvis Grbac to step up in the pocket. Derek Alexander, he was their go-to guy the last few years at the wide receiver position, but now with drafting Sylvester Morris, they've got 2 guys on the outside that are 6'2" in Alexander, 6'3" in Sylvester Morris, with pressure on the shorter defensive backs.
Alexander had a touchdown catch last week in the loss. Pump fake. Grbac will spin around. Grbac, another pump, and runs out of bounds after a pickup of 8. Smart play by Elvis Grbac getting to the sideline.
Out of bounds by Greg.
What a play by Elvis Grbac. When he pumps the ball, the entire front 6 or 7 defensive members of the Tennessee Titans, they turn around to hustle to the football because they believe the ball's thrown. That allows Elvis Grbac to spin around and come back. Watch these guys' heads when he makes the pump fake. Right there, watch their heads. As soon as he makes that pump fake, boom, let's run around and make a play. Look at the heads on those guys. They don't know where Elvis Grbac is. Great play by Grbac, comes around, pumps it again, picks up positive yardage.
2nd and 2 from the 28. Chiefs are on the move. Motion man is Alexander. Handoff, Clown. And he is brought down.
The carry.
Trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, but it looks like he lost one. Eddie Robinson along with Favors combining.
I'll tell you what, the linebackers are doing a great job, but number 99, Kenny Holmes, keep an eye on him. He's penetrated in the backfield 6 or 7 times already in this game. And John Tate, a player that the Kansas City Chiefs think is going to be a great player, has his hands full this far today.
These two teams known as two of the best running teams in the NFL. We are yet to see it here today. On a pitch, 3rd and short situation. Trying to get to the outside, and Richardson cannot. Blaine Bishop, open field tackle and a loss of 3.
Now, this is one I have to question. They're pounding the ball in the middle. They're running at Javon Curse, letting him go upfield and trapping inside from the end zone. They pitch it to a fullback in Tony Richardson, 235 pounds, to get to the outside. He doesn't have the speed to get there when you've got 8 men in the box and you've got Blaine Bishop, number 23, the strong safety. That's another linebacker in there. It's difficult to get to the outside and turn the corner.
Well, they could have attempted a 50-yard field goal instead. Todd Sauerbrunn is out there to punt it. Able to put it inside the 10, but Kansas City playing the field position game instead of attempting a field goal, and Sauerbrunn punting it to the 8. And we're coming back.
Receive a 6-ounce can of chicken of the sea.
Back at Tennessee, no score, 7:44 mark of the second quarter. And a 4-receiver look on a 1st and 10, ball just shy of the 9 for the Titans. On the give, Eddie George unable to break one out, though, as he crossed the 10-yard line for a gain of about 3. Jerome Woods with the tackle. Just to go back on the Kansas City possession. 2 possessions in a row now. Kansas City with excellent field position, no points to speak of. Could have been a 50-yard attempt for Pete Stoyanovich, but Gunther Cunningham decides to punt it.
He's going to rely on his defense and play field position, but my question is the series before, on 4th down, they went for it. Hey, in hindsight, I take the points on the road. That's an easy 3 points, but they wanted to go for the 7.
Let's call it a 2nd and 6. Long count for McNair. On a pitch, George trying to cut it back. Able to squeeze out some yardage on that carry. Pickup of 2, John Browning with a stop.
Tackle by Donnie Edwards.
Right at the 15-yard line.
And it's going to be difficult for Eddie George to get positive yardage on 1st and 2nd down. The linebackers, Marvcus Patton in particular, Lou Bush, they're playing close to the line of scrimmage. What Kansas City's doing, they've got the 4-down linemen, they're widening out, they're letting the linebackers cheat up and get closer to the line of scrimmage, and it cuts off the cutback lanes for Eddie George.
Eddie George, 23 career 100-yard rushing games. Titans are 18-5 in those contests. Oh, quick throw. And Kevin Dyson taking the smack from Jerome Woods. 1st down for Tennessee. Dyson able to pop off the field. He handled it. It's going to work out afterwards.
Yeah, he's handling that hit, but I guarantee you, he's talking to himself saying, wow, what a stick I just took. Right here, it makes a great move, but look at the stick right there on Jerome Woods. That's how you pay the price when you go across the middle. It's my area. Head's a little low. No penalty on the play, but that's questionable hit. You've got to raise your head on those tackles, Jerome.
Woods known throughout the league as a ferocious tackler, and now a 1st and 10 at the 23. Quick hitter, Wycheck, getting to the outside and lunging forward out around the 30-yard line. A 7-yard gain. Marvcus Patton will be given credit for the stop.
And you know, Wycheck's like an anomaly. He's not very fast, not very big, but he always seems to get open, and he always makes something out of nothing. A little dump ball pass like that should have been a 2-yard gain, but he always can break tackles in the open field, and he just gets better each year.
He has led Tennessee in receptions the last 4 seasons, and 60-plus catches in each of the last 3. 2 consecutive Pro Bowls at the tight end spot for Wycheck. Eddie George gets the call on the ground, and George again unable to break one out as Clemens and Patton combine after the gain of 2.
Nothing doing for Kansas City. They're not letting Eddie George go anyplace. Marvcus Patton, the middle linebacker. The other linebackers are keen on Eddie George. The defensive line, they're playing the keyboard. Not a lot of penetration. Look, here they are playing the keyboard. Stand them up. Let's find out where he is. Let the linebackers flow and make the tackle. Take on the fullback. Look at the converge on the defense. Red jerseys around the running back.
Where's the push? There's no push on that offensive line right now.
It's finesse up front by the offensive line of Tennessee.
9 carries, 14 yards for George. 3rd and 1. McNair. Catch made by Pickens. 1st down Tennessee and brought down at the 45. 13 yards on the quick slant. Carl Pickens hearing some cheers in a packed house, something he wasn't really accustomed to in Cincinnati.
Yeah, but if you saw that play, there was a pick on that play, an illegal pick, but they got away with it. But Carl Pickens, a phenomenal athlete and receiver from Cincinnati. We talked to him when we spoke to him the other day. He said, I'm glad to get out of Cincinnati, and we'll go back to that story later.
95th straight game with at least one catch for Pickens. And now a first down for Tennessee at the 45. George with a flag down. He took it straight ahead. Eric Hicks with a tackle, maybe a trip on the inside. Well, they're bringing this one back, Tennessee.
Illegal hands to the face. Offense, number 72. 10 yards, still first down.
Well, that's Brad Hopkins. Now in his 8th year out of Illinois. We had a chance to speak with Hopkins earlier this week, an aspiring broadcaster. All these offensive linemen want to become broadcasters.
Oh, he's looking for the easy paycheck.
Is that what it comes down to?
Well, let me tell you the truth. This isn't easy.
So Hopkins called on that penalty. Plans to play his entire career here in Tennessee, which is not exactly normal in this day and age of professional sports.
Not with free agency.
Spread formation. McNair forced to unload, complete to Dyson. Creating after the catch. And he is bombarded at midfield. 15 yards on the pass play. Woods had a chance to bring him down, but Dyson with a juke move got some extra yardage.
And on that 15 yards, at least 9 of those are yak yards, yards after catch. But Steve McNair, what a wonderful job of reading the defense, picking up the blitz. He saw he had Hicks on the outside. It's a hot read. Boom, get rid of the ball. Between you and your wide receiver, you know when it's overloaded on one side. That's a hot read. The wide receiver breaks off the route. Steve McNair delivered the ball. 3 catches for Dyson, 31 yards.
And now a 2nd and 5 following that penalty. Tennessee able to make up a chunk of the yardage. Dyson goes in motion. Under 3 minutes to play, first half. Nice play fake. McNair stepping up. In trouble. Able to get rid of it. And the strength of Steve McNair. It's incomplete. Dwayne Clemens providing the pressure on the inside, and Browning applying the hit.
And he took a heck of a hit on this, but watch Steve McNair. This is strength. An awful deep drop on play action around the legs. He's got Clemens around his legs, but he still stands in there. But Marcus Pattons finishes off on the top. But here's the strength of Steve McNair. He's got a 290-pounder on his legs, but he's standing tall in the huddle. Look at that. He's got him on his ankles, but he throws the ball and gets rid of it. He takes the hit out of Patton out of that, pays the price, but it's a smart play by McNair. Hey, get rid of the football. Don't take the loss.
Yeah, Patton told us, and he confirmed what most defenders feel in this league. Tackling Steve McNair is like tackling a fullback. That's how big his body is. 3rd and 5 now. Looking to convert. McNair underneath, a flag down. Catch made by the rookie Aaron Kinney out of Florida. Stepping in for the injured Michael Rohn, who will miss the remainder of the season with ligament damage in his left knee. But the flag will work against the Chiefs.
We spoke with Steve McNair. He likes Aaron Kinney. Big guy, 272 pounds as a tight end. Big body. He said he uses his body very well in crucial situations, and right there comes up with a big play.
Offside. Defense, number 92, lined up in his zone. The play results in the first down. The penalty is declined. First down.
So the play will stand for Aaron Kinney. 3rd round pick. And now he is forced into a much bigger role on this Tennessee team than he ever expected.
You can't get much bigger at 270 pounds as a tight end.
1st and 10 now at the 45-yard line of Kansas City. Motion man Wycheck. Movement. Flags come down and the play never happens. It's whistled dead. It was on the right side of that Kansas City defensive line, left side of the offensive line for Tennessee.
That'll be John Browning, number 93. An early jump.
Browning returning from an Achilles tendon injury.
Defense, number 93, unabated for the quarterback. 5 yards, first down.
His best season was back in 1997. Originally a 3rd round pick out of West Virginia back in '96. And you see the penalty situation. 4th call on the Chiefs here today. Hard to believe. No score in this game late in the second quarter. Tennessee's high-powered offense yet to get jump-started. On a 1st and 5, George has some room, flag down. And George comes up just shy in the big game against St. Louis and start focusing on 2000. This is not the offense we saw in 1999. On a 1st and 5, McNair stepping up. He'll look to run it. McNair taking it to the outside.
The open field is there. Take off and run.
First down from the 30. A minute 48 left, first half. The quick throw. Razzle dazzle. Line check to Dyson. Touchdown. Where have we seen that before?
Coordinator Mike Heimerdinger called that call in this situation. That is a big-time play.
Extra point added by Al Del Greco. Tennessee is on the board, finally. As the two hook up again. Larry Parker off the Hendrick kick. Parker trying to whirl his way back. Unable to get to the outside, and he's tackled at the 25. 7-0, Tennessee with a lead.
Spotted on the side, wide open.
Grbac throwing to the sideline, and Alexander did not turn around. So once again, quarterback and wide receiver not on the same page. Denard Walker had the coverage.
Keep an eye on Dyson and Eric Warfield.
At the Titans 9. Now a 2nd and 10. Grbac loses the football. Able to jump on it as Kenny Holmes came by to knock it. On 3rd and 10, Grbac. Catch made short of the first down. Alexander paired off with Denard Walker on the sideline, and Kansas City will be forced to punt. Todd Sauerbrunn, no rush, line drive. Takes a bounce. Mason unable to come forward to get it, and Kansas City will touch it. They finally do at the 27. Mason came in late, and that's where the line of scrimmage will be for the Tennessee. Now, Tennessee with certainly enough time to work with to put more points on the board before they hit halftime. Tennessee with 2 timeouts left. Shotgun formation for McNair. Stepping up in the pocket. He'll run it himself. McNair brought down by Patton. That's the kind of football that following that. And the mushrooming effect was the most ridiculous thing he's been through in 32 years of coaching. Out of the shotgun, McNair, everything in slow motion. The play almost stopped. He was able to dump it off, though. Looked like Eddie George was there to make the catch for a pickup of 1. The clock is moving with 29 seconds and counting left. Now, Cunningham was very ticked off still yesterday in discussing the whole matter from earlier in the week. Shotgun McNair on a 3rd and 1. Fires. Intercepted. Donnie Edwards takes it for the score. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Just like that, Donnie Edwards, his 10th career interception, 2nd of the year. He had 5 last year. He did a wonderful job of watching Steve McNair's
7-0 lead, if not 10-0. Extra point, Stoyanovich. Instead, Donnie Edwards picks off McNair. Mid-season, no?
Mid-season, you got it.
Low line drive that will scoot its way into the end zone, and a touchback from Todd Sauerbrunn. How about
He's going to take it away on defense.
Edwards' 3rd career touchdown return. Here's Mason with an opportunity. Derek Mason, an explosive special teams performer, looking for a lane. And he's brought down at the 37-yard line. Best all-around athlete on this team. I think that's a fair statement, right?
Easily, by far.
Out of the shotgun, McNair. He'll throw it underneath. Catch made by George. And a late hit. As time runs out, Marcus Patton, a late hit.
And that is not a smart decision by Marcus Patton. With the penalty, they're going to have an opportunity to kick a field goal. Last week, Craig Hendrick at the end of the game tried a 60-yarder. It wasn't straight and true, but he had the leg for it.
15-yard penalty.
personal foul, unnecessary roughness by number 53. The foul occurred after the player was out of bounds. By rule, the half is over, the penalty is declined.
Wow.
They caught a break there. Because if it's inbounds, they get a shot at a field goal, and they get a chance to go ahead before halftime.
Martin with Kansas City, 1st and 10 at the 27. Chiefs had a chance to take the lead on a field goal, but Stoyanovich missed it. McNair trying to avoid the rush. How is he doing it? McNair remaining on his feet. Out to the sideline and a first down run for Steve McNair. He ran about 50 yards, but he picked up 11.
He will be huffing and puffing after this play. The most frustrating player on the field has to be Chester McLaughlin. He had not one.
It's down for Tennessee at the 38. They run it inside to Eddie George. And a gain of 5. This is nothing new for Steve McNair. One of the reasons why Tennessee was interested in him coming out of Alcorn State is this. This look familiar to you?
It's incredible.
We're breaking out the vintage video on Steve McNair at Alcorn State, a man among boys in college for Steve. And now Tennessee facing a 2nd and 5 from the 43. Dyson comes in motion. McNair short drop, in trouble. Pump fake, throw. A catch and a hit. Carl Pickens took the smack from Jerome Woods. And Pickens telling him, hey, that's a first down.
It may be a first down, but I think Jerome Woods made another statement on a big hit. But Carl Pickens
on a 1st and 10 now in Kansas City territory at the 47. George. And stacked up quickly. Little extra effort trying to at least squeeze out 1 yard. And Greg Wesley was involved on the stop. Wesley taking over for Reggie Tongue, who went on to Seattle, the strong safety.
And the reason why Steve McNair can't get going is the penetration of the defensive front. One play, it's Dan Williams. The next play is Dwayne Clemens. The next play is Chester McLaughlin. He has nowhere to run, and they're cutting off cutback lanes for Steve McNair, making him go one direction.
After the 1 yard run from George, now a 2nd and 9. Here come the Chiefs. McNair throwing. And picked off! James Hasty! Into Tennessee territory and tripped up as he crossed the 35-yard line. For the 3rd time today, Kansas in Tennessee territory as Frank Moreau plunges, trying to run off left tackle. Maybe a gain of 1 as Kenny Holmes made the stop. And updating the turnover ratio. Titans turning it over for the 3rd time this afternoon. McNair's 2nd pick.
But Kansas City has to do something with these turnovers. They scored 1 touchdown on the run back by Donnie Edwards, but they play very conservatively when they get the ball. What the pursuit and the quickness of the Titans, a great play for Kansas City would be a reverse or a reverse pass because of all the pursuit of the Titan defense.
2nd and 9. Play fake. Grbac has the time. Now he doesn't. That pump fake cost him. John Thornton with a sack.
And you can't second guess against the defensive speed.
Of the NFL substance abuse policy. And now Kansas City, despite the great field position, facing a 3rd and 17. Grbac. And a miscommunication. Flag down.
5. Automatic.
Huge. Just could get it. Grbac up top. Incomplete. It was Morris sprinting to the end zone, and Marcus Robertson helping out at the free safety spot.
And here's a question. Tony Gonzalez, he was open on that matches.
He was held to 2 catches, 24 yards, the Pro Bowler. Last week, no catches so far today. We have a minute and a half to play in the 3rd. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Grbac on a cross, and there he is, Gonzalez. Perry Phoenix tripped him up, a gain of 7. You saw Grbac just as they broke the huddle had a little extra message for Gonzalez as he went to the line of scrimmage, and he looked for him there.
Get open. That's what it was. Here's their Cobra formation in Cobra. They've got Perry Phoenix and nickel that comes in. He covers Tony Gonzalez. That's his assignment. Whatever nickel they're in, they want to put Perry Phoenix on it because of his size. They think he's a good tackler, but it's a mismatch. As you see, Tony Gonzalez grabs him for an extra 4 yards after the first hit.
3rd and 3. Lock at the motion man. Grbac, moving pocket, throws on the run, complete. Derek Alexander. And he's brought down at the 17. Grbac gives the first down signal. Roll and Bishop combine on the stop. And a gain of 7.
I'll tell you what, Victor Riley against the freak, Javon Curse, he just ate him up on that one. Even though quarterback Elvis Grbac rolled out, it was a tiny pattern. He sat back, didn't see his receiver open, so he rolled out on his own. But Victor Riley just smothered Javon Curse, took that big body, wrapped it around him, and sealed him off, allowing quarterback Elvis Grbac to get to the outside. Watch the big fella right here. 330, 340 when he started the game. He's probably 330 now because of the humidity. But the way that he can get his hands on Javon Curse, allowing his quarterback to get to the outside, that's a big play.
And it will go down as the final play of the 3rd quarter. Titans and Chiefs tied at 7. Back start the 4th quarter. Two teams looking for their first wins on the young season. And a 1st and 10 for Kansas City at the Tennessee 16. Cloud is in the backfield. Grbac wants to throw it. Guns to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Derek Alexander. Chiefs take the lead.
Touchdown, Kansas City. Grbac's pass complete to Derek Alexander.
What a strange game this has been.
And one-on-one on the outside. All this is a hit and run to the post against Samari Roll. But quarterback Elvis Grbac had plenty of time to throw the ball. No pressure by the Tennessee Titan rush. Great throw, great catch. But Samari Roll, we saw him in the timeout. He was grabbing his right shoulder. Maybe he had a stinger on the play because he did not play that play to perfection. He gave the inside away to Derek Alexander.
Extra point from Stoyanovich. Who would have believed in this matchup that Tony Gonzalez, Javon Curse, and Eddie George would all be non-factors in this game? And the Tennessee Titans' undefeated streak at home on the line now with a 14-7 Kansas City lead. Titans went undefeated last year at New Adelphia Coliseum. 8-0 in the regular season, 1-0 in the postseason. The Music City Miracle. Off the Sauerbrunn kick. Here's Derek Mason trying to electrify this crowd. Mason hurtling to the 40. Larry Parker making the stop after the 33-yard return for Mason. Back to Nashville. Last meeting back in 1996. KC beating the Houston Oilers 20-19. Titans with good field position, and the first time we've seen Eddie George get into the open field. He's brought down just shy of the 50. A 9-yard gain. James Hasty not on the field currently for Kansas City. Pat Dennis has stepped in at cornerback for the Chiefs.
2nd and 2 at the 48-yard line.
We'll call it 2nd and a long 1 for Tennessee. Early stages, 4th quarter, a 14-7 Kansas City lead. George again trying to push the pile forward to see where they spot the football as John Browning engulfed it. Will it be enough for the first down? Hey, while you watch the game, log on to NFL.com and track the statistics of all of your favorite players on NFL.com. They put the football across the 50 into Kansas City territory, and that is a very good spot. They'll come out and measure it. How thirsty is Kansas City for a victory? Well, go back to preseason and end of regular season last year. They've lost 7 straight games.
That's a team that's hungry.
Cunningham told us after all the nonsense this week about his apparent retirement, it was the best week of practice that his team has had since he's taken over as head coach. On the game, Eddie George accelerating and brought down at the 42-yard line. Good blocking from that left side of the offensive line and a gain of 8. You know, rarely do you see a team that can turn it on, turn it off, and maybe this Tennessee offense is finally turning it on.
Well, they're going to need to, and they're going to need to generate holes as they just did for Eddie George on the last 2 plays. The left side between Brad Hopkins and Bruce Matthews, the 18-year veteran. If they can continue to do that, that puts a lot of pressure on the Kansas City defense.
2nd and 2. Give to George. Stutter step. Eddie George has the first down, and he's tackled at the 36. Bruce Matthews that time, creating some extra space for George to work with.
It's the 4th quarter now, and the 4th quarter usually wins your ball game. Now the guys up front are getting a push for Tennessee. Here's the push. They're creating a new line of scrimmage. They're double teaming inside, getting one man on the backer. It creates a seam for the running back, Eddie George, to hit. Before, in the first 3 quarters, they were not getting a push on the line of scrimmage. Now they are.
New set of downs for Tennessee. 1st and 10 at the 36. Long count for McNair. 2 interceptions today. On the draw play, George trying to get physical on the inside as he picked up a yard, maybe 2. Eric Hicks with a stop. And the clock continues to roll as we approach the 12-minute mark of the 4th quarter.
And a lot of running behind the left side. Bruce Matthews has been doing this forever. And we saw him in the elevator the other day when we were talking. We said, no, Bruce Matthews, he had a card with him. And it looked like it was a rookie card, but it was in black and white. I wonder if Leonardo da Vinci sketched that. He's been in the league so long.
18 years in the NFL. First-round pick back in 1983. You know what? Eddie George told us he's still a kid at heart, though. He's one of the guys that's always clowning around in the locker room. He's not sitting in the corner looking over his financial portfolio. On the play fake, McNair in trouble and brought down. Eric Hicks. Once again, it's Hicks who can cover a lot of ground, whether it's in the backfield or sideline to sideline.
Keep an eye on Steve McNair, but watch the hips of Eric Hicks. He has contained. He gets upfield. He'll bend down low and bend the knees and plant right there. Then he plants and goes after Steve McNair. If he's running high, McNair runs right by him, but the big guy uses his leverage and gets down and plants. First thing, get your contained. Don't get beat to the outside. Second thing, get after the quarterback. And that's what Eric Hicks does.
Hicks had 4 sacks last season. That's the 2nd sack for the Kansas City defense here today. Now a 3rd and 12. Operating out of the shotgun. Big Ben, who's been basically invisible today, in motion. Rollout, McNair. Kansas City trying to chase him down. In a crowd, McNair looks for an opening. At level! Dwayne Clemens with the stick.
Tackled by Dwayne Clemens.
And this is a design play from the get-go. You put your quarterback in the shotgun. Eddie George is in the backfield. They take off running. It's a dash protection. Get to the outside. Break, contain. But Dwayne Clemens, watch him down the line of scrimmage. Stay down the line. Right there. Right in the chest of Steve McNair. Keep your distance away because this one hurts from up in the booth. I can feel this hit. Steve McNair never sees him. He's running downfield. He thinks he has a big play. And right there, the closing speed of Dwayne Clemens.
A free agent from Minnesota. He was a part-time starter for the Vikings. Now starting at end for Kansas City. Hentrick with a punt. Parker. It continues to flow. That one would have carried its way into the end zone, whether Michael Booker caught it or not. 37-yard punt, but a net of 17. Chiefs get the football back. A developing situation here in Nashville. Steve McNair sprawled out on the turf on his back following this hit from Dwayne Clemens.
He may have whiplash after that hit, but the helmet of Dwayne Clemens is right in the chest sternum area of Steve McNair.
Meanwhile, Kansas City takes over on offense with Mike Cloud getting the carry.
And on to Mike Cloud.
And Cloud gets it out to the 25-yard line, a gain of 6. The medical staff still tending to McNair. They were taking his pulse while we were in commercial.
He's moving all right. He was moving his arms and he was moving his head and shoulders. He could have gotten the wind knocked out of him or a broken rib or sternum, but that was a heck of a hit right to the breastbone in the chest, and it's difficult to breathe under those circumstances.
Neil O'Donnell has put on the helmet and some warm-up tosses on the sideline. Tony Richardson trying to run off tackle.
Tony Richardson on the carry.
He is stampeded at the 27. Lane Bishop, first man there, a gain of 1. It'll be 3rd and short, and there's O'Donnell. Did a great job last season backing up Steve McNair. 10 touchdown passes in an understudy role, only 5 interceptions. And you see the heavy breathing from McNair, who's going to try to sit up.
That's a good sign.
3rd and 3. Play fake. Grbac, circle. He's got room. Angles himself out of bounds and a first down for the Chiefs. stopping the clock with 8:40 to play, a 9-yard.
And even though Steve McNair is their leader on offense, right now he's in a position where it doesn't look like he may come out for the next series. You've got to rally around Neil O'Donnell.
Well, right now their defense has to start making some plays. McNair helped to his feet. Grbac flushed out. Grbac again working that sideline, and Tennessee was looking to knock his head off. Eddie Robinson came flying in late. And but what happened last week? They knock out Rob Johnson. Tennessee's quoted some of their defensive players as, hey, we knock out quarterbacks. That's what we do.
And as an offensive player, an ex-player as myself, lineman, you take pride in protecting your quarterback. And when a defense says that, you step up to the plate and say, hey, you're not going to do it to my quarterback.
The roles have been reversed here today as McNair was knocked out. Grbac calls a timeout. 7:44 left in the fourth. City leading Tennessee with 7:44 remaining here in the fourth quarter. A 2nd and 8. And Grbac is demolished. Javon Curse.
You want to talk about closing speed. When the ball snaps, he's got to be the quickest at getting off the snap down as a defender.
We asked Jeff Fisher, when did you know that Curse was special? He said, day 1, training camp, rookie year. First minute I saw. 3rd and 14, a critical play. They go to the ground. Kimball Anders. The conservative play calling from Kansas City. Eddie Robinson with a tackle. I think it's safe to say Steve McNair is done for the afternoon.
I'll tell you, the hardest working group on this field is the training staff and the doctors for Tennessee, because they've had their work cut out for them today. But moments ago, they're checking his heartbeat with his stethoscope, just making sure with a precautionary measure that he's okay.
4th down now for Kansas City. Forced to punt. Sauerbrunn standing at his own 18. Mason. A dangerous return man. Good punt from Sauerbrunn. Mason backpedaling from the 15. Mason avoids one tackle. Tries to spin his way out of another, and finally he is brought down at the 23. Andre O'Neal was there. An 8-yard return, 52-yard punt. This will be Neil O'Donnell's game. He's had 2 minutes and 43 seconds to work with. They trail Kansas City by a touchdown. Titans have never lost a regular season or postseason game here at Adelphia Coliseum. O'Donnell, 1st and 10 from the 44. O'Donnell in trouble, and flags come down. He was sacked back at the 35-yard line. A double-team effort. Dwayne Clemens came over.
And this was a maneuver that was created by the stunt run at the front.
There's no foul on offensive holding number 74. His man made the sack. 2nd down.
So no foul on Bruce Matthews. But Tennessee takes a hit. 2nd and 19. O'Donnell underneath. Nancy Thigpen has some room to work with, and he's forced to the sideline. But the clock will continue to roll. He tried to get out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Down to 2:04 and ticking. And that will be the final play before the 2-minute warning. Tennessee faces a 3rd and long. When we return, Kansas City leading by wins to open a stadium. Looking for 9 straight regular season wins. They face a 3rd and 7. O'Donnell throwing to Wycheck and a 1st down. Into Kansas City territory. Line of scrimmage will be just outside the 44. And now the clock is rolling. 1:40 and counting. Shotgun formation for O'Donnell. Stepping up, throwing to the sideline. Wide open, Carl Pickens. Out of bounds at the 24. 20-yard pass play.
I said it before, this is the reason why you're bringing in Carl Pickens and paying this type of money, because he has the leadership. He has the maturity to find a way to get open. Here he wants a beautiful route, getting between defenders, getting open on the deep out pattern. That's Carl Pickens, a fingertip reception, bringing it in for the 1st down, but they're getting protection up front. They're protecting quarterback Neil O'Donnell. They're standing their line, standing up on the wall, creating him a chance, giving him a chance to step up in the pocket and throw the ball.
Tennessee still has 1 timeout to work with. Now a 1st down at the Kansas City 24. Shotgun O'Donnell. Quick toss. Dyson inside. Kevin Dyson hurdling across the 10. Patton with a tackle. But the Titans are moving the football with ease. 15 yards. O'Donnell to Dyson. Down to a minute 13 left.
Speed on the outside. It's a play that they've run a lot. Kansas City has to pay attention. They're going to try to get that quick screen out to Dyson.
First and goal from the 9. O'Donnell to the end zone. Over the 1 minute to play. 14-7 Kansas City. You see the timeout situation. Second and goal from the 9. O'Donnell looking to tie this game up. Throws it over the head of Wycheck.
To the outside in a down position. He's a linebacker. Now they're making him a rush defensive lineman in the three-point stance.
No James Hasty. We have not been told why. O'Donnell looks, throws, complete the thick man. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee. Del Greco on for the extra point. 14-14. 50 seconds left. An 8-play, 56-yard drive, taking up a minute and 53.
It's been a while for Yancey Thigpen to contribute
for the equalizer. So much heartache for this Kansas City team at the end of last season, not making the playoffs. The offseason with Derek Thomas and his tragic death.
Ryan, there's plenty of time left, and they also have 2 timeouts.
Hendrick for Parker. He'll take it from the goal line. Parker looks for an opening. Puts his head down and is tackled at the 26. Okay,
Jimmy Ray, I continue to roll out Elvis Grbac. That's where he's put pressure on the defense and made his biggest play.
Grbac, the drop, throwing, knocked down.
Because everyone in the stadium knows it's going to be a pass.
Second down, it is loud here in Adelphia. Grbac airs it out. Alexander, flag down. Denard Walker. Alexander turned around and Walker made contact.
Smart play by Derek Alexander of turning around and facing the quarterback and attempting to make that reception.
Defense, number 25, automatic.
Denard Walker, 35 seconds left. Grbac throwing. Catch made on the outside by Tony Gonzalez. And he is forced to the sideline around the 36-yard line. Clock is moving. Grbac wants the timeout, and he feels like the officials stole 3 or 4 seconds away.
They have the ball on the inside the 35-yard line. 25 seconds of the timeout left. A lot of time. You can get 4 plays off in a situation.
Right now, it would be a 52-yard field goal. Second and short. Grbac. And deflected at the line of scrimmage. And a flag.
Pass interference. Offense number 82.
Wow.
10 yards. Remains second.
Call. I mean, that's fighting to get position and go downfield.
Second and 11, but more importantly, Kansas City just needs yardage to put Stoyanovich in a position to win this game. Grbac forced to throw it to the sideline with the line. Curse is out. Now a third and 21. Grbac. They need something from Grbac now. Floating it upstairs into a crowd. Incomplete. Lockett a chance to return this punt.
Kick it in the end zone.
And he does float it towards the sideline. Wise decision. And we appear to be headed to overtime. We are headed to overtime. Tennessee Titans. They have never lost here at Tennessee. The Titans and the Chiefs all tied up 14-14 as we get set for overtime. Kansas City 0-1 in overtime games last season. A loss to the Raiders that cost them a playoff spot, final game of the regular season. And Tennessee did not participate in an overtime game last year. This will be Neil O'Donnell's game to win or lose at the quarterback position for the Titans. No Steve McNair, not available because of an injury late in the fourth quarter. Tennessee will receive. Sauerbrunn will kick it off for Kansas City. See the all-time records in overtime. And we're underway. Here's Mason from the one. Mason looks to cut it to the outside. Mason remaining on his feet and spun out of bounds. Almost two face masks as Carey tried to extend the arm.
Incidental face mask on the kicking team. 5 yards. First down.
It's critical errors that's cost Kansas City, and now another one in overtime. Derek Mason, they've got him strung out right here. It's time to tackle him. Right there, number 80, Parker, gets him right by the face.
First possession of the extra session. 1st and 10 for Tennessee at the 34. Eddie George, haven't heard much from him because Tennessee was relying on the pass. And Dan Williams was right there to greet him. That's a loss of 2 on the play.
One thing the defensive front of Kansas City has had success at this game is shutting down Eddie George. The only big chunks of yardage they've given up on the run has been by quarterback Steve McNair and his scrambling ability, but they've been able to shut down all the lanes for running back Eddie George.
20 carries, 51 yards. Numbers that George is not accustomed to. On a 2nd and 12. O'Donnell will put it in the air. Guns. And complete. Yancey Thigpen, who scored that game-tying touchdown, just took a hit. William Barty with a tackle. And he picked up only 4. It'll be 3rd and 8.
It's a pretty tackle by William Barty, getting low, wrapping his hands up. What they're doing with Tennessee is they're giving him the underneath stuff. Let him have an underneath pass for 4 or 5 yards and make the tackle. Let him have the cushion, give him about a 4-yard spread, but make sure that they don't get by the first tackle.
Remember, no James Hasty has not played throughout the fourth quarter, and now in overtime. On 3rd and 8, O'Donnell throwing to the sideline. Dyson! He's gone! Kevin Dyson took it the distance, but the officials are saying that he was out of bounds. They are marking him out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Mentioned earlier, they are very young in the secondary, and with no James Hasty, Tennessee is taking full. It may be that has forced Hasty to the sideline. And now Tennessee on the move. This game was seemingly over, but Dyson's left little toe may have touched maybe that white portion of the sideline. And now the Titans with a 1st and 10 at the Kansas City 37. Long count from O'Donnell. Looks for a safety valve. It's Wycheck. Flag down. Wycheck gaining extra yardage. They can't bring him down. Finally at the 10-yard line. 26 yards, but that flag is mentioned. They'll come back. And this play never happened.
Holding, 75 offense. 10-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
Benji Olsen, nicknamed the Road Grader.
Nine, I talked about crucial situations. Regardless if these players are professional, you've got to have a mature quarterback look him in the eye and tell him, we're in field position. Don't have any ridiculous penalties. I don't care. We're running a middle screen. It's a well-designed play. Why do you need a hold on a screen?
Similar to Kansas City at the end of the fourth quarter, Tennessee was in field position as mentioned, and now they're going to have to work for it. It's a 1st and 20 at the 47-yard line. Field goal position is what Tennessee is looking for right now. Play clock winding down. Handoff straight up the middle. Here comes George, cutting it to the outside. Eddie George with his best run of the day.
Good.
29 yards for the Pro Bowler. And brought down at the 23.
Going back to the beginning of the play, when Eddie George breaks the huddle, he dries his hands off. He's wearing those gloves. He dries his hands off just before he gets the ball. But he takes the ball, but it's great blocking up front. It's a draw play. You let the defense set, let him come upfield. Now go downfield and get blocked. But here he puts a great move on Greg Wesley, the rookie, and stiff arms Marcus Patton at the end of the play. But when you needed the big play, their big man, Eddie George, comes up with it.
Line of scrimmage will be the 18 for George. And another timeout at the 12:06 mark of overtime. Now, Tennessee not even worrying about a touchdown.
To get the ball to your stalwarts, your key guys on offense, they put the ball in Eddie George's hand. He comes up with a magnificent run to give him a field goal opportunity.
Al Del Greco now on the field. His first attempt. And it comes in overtime. It's a 36-yard field goal. Tennessee coming from behind. A chance to win it. The snap. The kick. Is good. Titans pull it off in overtime. And the home winning streak is alive. Tennessee has matched an NFL record. 9 home wins to open a new stadium. A hug from Jeff Fisher. It was a struggle for the Titans.